What if every week ants doubled in size? Not gradually, but instantaneously every 7 days at the stroke of midnight. Here's the complete scenario. Starting right now, every ant on Earth doubles in physical dimensions weekly. They won't be crushed by their own weight, they maintain their proportional strength, and the transformation happens simultaneously across all 20 quadrillion ants on the planet. There's no warning, no way to prevent it, and humanity is initially unaware this is happening. The question is simple but terrifying. Can humanity survive the rise of giant ants? Let's start with the numbers, because with exponential growth, the numbers tell a horrifying story. The average ant is about 2 millimeters long. After just 1 week, they're 4 millimeters. Still tiny, still beneath most people's notice. After 2 weeks, 8 millimeters, about the size of a small beetle. 3 weeks, 16 millimeters. 4 weeks, 32 millimeters, bigger than most cockroaches. This is where things start getting interesting, and by interesting, I mean apocalyptic. Week 1 passes without incident. The ants are now 4 millimeters, but who's measuring? Maybe a few entomologists notice something odd in their labs, but it's dismissed as measurement error or a peculiar local phenomenon. The world's ecosystems continue functioning normally. Ants continue their essential work of aerating soil, dispersing seeds, and controlling pest populations. Life goes on. Week 2 arrives. 8 millimeter ants are noticeable but not alarming. Garden enthusiasts might comment that the ants seem bigger this year. Some underground colonies start experiencing overcrowding as their tunnels become too small. The first ant casualties occur as workers get trapped in passages they can no longer fit through. Colony structures begin to fail, but nature adapts. The surviving ants start building new, larger tunnels. Week 3 is when the first alarm bells ring. 16 millimeter ants are impossible to ignore. Social media explodes with videos of finger-sized ants marching across sidewalks. Scientists scramble to understand what's happening. Panic hasn't set in yet, but there's a growing unease. These ants are starting to overwhelm their food sources. They're depleting areas of smaller insects rapidly. Some species of ants begin showing aggression toward larger prey they previously ignored. Week 4 changes everything. At 32 millimeters, over an inch long, ants are now legitimate threats to small animals. Pet owners report attacks on hamsters and mice. Agricultural damage skyrockets as massive ant colonies devour crops at an alarming rate. The first human injuries occur, mostly from fire ant species whose venom sacs have also doubled each week. A single sting from these giants can hospitalize a child. Governments begin emergency meetings. Pesticide companies see their stock prices soar. Week 5 brings us to 64 millimeters. The ants are now the size of large beetles, and conventional pest control methods are failing. Their exoskeletons are too thick for most household sprays. They're breaking into homes through windows and doors. Food storage becomes critical as these giant ants can chew through cardboard and thin plastic. Military units are deployed in several countries to protect food supplies. The first human deaths are reported when a swarm of giant bullet ants attacks a village in Central America. By week 6, at 128 millimeters, about 5 inches, we're dealing with ants the size of small birds. They're hunting in coordinated packs, taking down chickens, rabbits, and small dogs. Air travel is grounded after several planes report engine failures caused by giant ants being sucked into turbines. The global economy starts to collapse as supply chains break down. Armies of giant ants march through cities, and conventional weapons prove ineffective against their numbers. There are simply too many. Week 7 sees them reach 256 millimeters, roughly 10 inches. They're now the size of rats, and they're everywhere. Underground infrastructure collapses as enlarged colonies destabilize foundations. Subway systems flood as ants break through water mains. Power grids fail as they chew through cables. Major cities begin evacuations, but where can people go? The ants are global. Islands without native ant populations become the most valuable real estate on Earth. Humanity's kill count reaches into the billions of ants, but it's not even making a dent. Remember, we started with 20 quadrillion. Week 8 brings horror movie proportions. At 512 millimeters, 20 inches long, the ants are the size of house cats. But unlike cats, they hunt in swarms of millions. The largest ant colonies now cover entire neighborhoods. Queens the size of dogs pump out eggs that hatch into giants. Nuclear weapons are considered and rejected. You can't nuke the entire planet. Humanity retreats to Arctic regions where cold temperatures slow the ants down, but it's only buying time. Week 9, at over a meter long, the ants are the size of medium dogs. But here's where mathematics becomes our unlikely ally. The ants are running out of food. They've consumed most smaller animals, devastated plant life, and are now turning on each other. Massive ant wars break out as different colonies fight for resources. The pheromone trails they follow create chemical clouds that make areas uninhabitable. Their movement alone causes seismic activity. Every step of a billion dog-sized ants creates minor earthquakes. Week 10 would see them at 2 meters, but most never make it. Starvation sets in. The energy requirements for ants this size are astronomical. They need to consume roughly 30% of their body weight daily. There isn't enough biomass on Earth to sustain them. They begin dying by the trillions, their massive corpses creating mountains of chitin and protein. The few surviving ants continue to grow, reaching the size of horses by week 11, elephants by week 13. The mathematics of destruction become mind-boggling. A single ant at week 14 would be over 100 feet long, weighing more than a commercial airliner. Its footsteps would register on seismographs hundreds of miles away. The few dozen that might survive to this size through cannibalism would reshape geography. Their movement would carve new valleys. Their deaths would create new hills. Imagine the sight, a creature the length of a football field, with mandibles that could bite through steel bridges, slowly starving to death because there's nothing left to eat. But here's the thing about exponential growth in a finite system. It always hits a wall. By week 15, any surviving ants would be larger than blue whales. By week 20, they'd be the size of city blocks. By week 24, each ant would be larger than Earth itself. Obviously, this can't happen. The ants die off from starvation long before reaching such impossible sizes. The last giant ant likely dies around week 16, a mountain-sized testament to the impossibility of infinite growth. During these final weeks, the psychological impact on survivors is devastating. Those in bunkers monitor seismic equipment, feeling every movement of the titans above. Radio communications between survivor settlements share horror stories. A colony in Nevada reports a week 12 ant, the size of a school bus, attempting to dig into their bunker before collapsing from exhaustion. Ships at sea spot giant ants attempting to swim between continents, their bodies creating temporary islands before they sink. Pilots flying supply runs between Arctic bases report seeing the landscape itself appear to move, only to realize they're looking at the shell of a dead mega ant. So what's left of humanity? Those who survived did so through isolation, intelligence, and luck. Remote Arctic and Antarctic research stations become humanity's last strongholds. Some populations survive on ships, constantly moving to avoid the giant ants' reach. Underground bunkers sealed before the ants grew too large house small communities. The human population, once nearly 8 billion, is reduced to perhaps a few million scattered survivors. The Earth they inherit is unrecognizable. Ecosystems have collapsed entirely. Most plant and animal species are extinct. The atmosphere is thick with decay gases from trillions of giant ant corpses. Cities are rubble, crushed under the weight of building-sized insects. It will take decades just to clear the remains, but humanity endures. We always have. The survivors emerge to reclaim and rebuild their world. Scientists preserve what genetic material they can, hoping to restore some semblance of the ecosystems we lost. Engineers design new cities with deep foundations and sealed environments, just in case it happens again. Children grow up in a world where they learn about the time when ants ruled the earth, if only for a few terrifying weeks. The most unsettling part? We never figure out why it happened. Was it radiation? A mutation? Some cosmic event we don't understand? The uncertainty haunts humanity. Every week, survivors hold their breath at midnight, watching the few remaining normal-sized insects, praying they don't start growing. Because if it happened once, who's to say it won't happen again? Maybe next time with spiders, or wasps, or something worse. This scenario teaches us about the fragility of our position on Earth. We consider ourselves the dominant species, but we're outnumbered by insects millions to one. Our civilization, for all its sophistication, depends on these tiny creatures remaining tiny. Change that one variable and everything collapses in weeks. It's a reminder that in nature's grand experiment, we're just another species trying to survive, and our reign at the top is more precarious than we'd like to admit.